Here we go. It's time for another sprint zone for 5/27/2025, a Tuesday. And it is a good sized group today and very, very, very well ordered. Got Rick there riding alone. We can see our special guest appearances by a Mr. Mellinger and a Mr. Nelson there that are riding quite nicely back there. Everyone's in a nice line, keeping things straight. And I'd like to take this time to thank Mr. Ron Kennedy for his GoPro footage. And you can see that in the upper right-hand corner, looking all that crisp. And also for his telemetry as we are about to get the party started. Nice day, blue skies, not a whole lot of wind, not too many people. It doesn't get much better than this as we come into the beginning of the melee zone. So I'm like reminiscing a little bit how different this was many years ago when this was actually dirt and there was no traffic light. But I'll save that digression for a little bit later on. I'm up front more or less and waiting for everyone to make it around the corner. Everyone has. And since I was up front for the longest period of time, keeping some tempo with Tony there, I figured, well, we shouldn't go too hard, but hard enough. And my thought here is I would just keep it around like 220-ish, 205, something like that. And I mentioned that to Tony, but he just wants to go. And at this point, I'm not going to follow. There are supers back there, and I mentioned Mr. Ben Nelson being one of them, and Mr. Mellinger being another one, that if they are back and they're sitting and there's no need for me to do the work, as well as another group of strong men, including Mr. Ron Kennedy, who is riding very, very well these days. Good shot of Rick there, holding his own. He's riding in a higher station than he has been like from the old days. This is good. It shows that everybody has gotten much, much stronger. Looking at my 30-second power, we're talking like 260, instantaneous power like 290, and I am trying to keep Tony in check because we don't want him to check out just yet. He looks back and clearly not fully committed to this move. And I've seen this before. It's like if you're going to commit, you're going to commit. Good shot of Mr. Nelson there, taking over. Perhaps it was a little too hot for Rick as he moves back. And now it is time for the big men. The men who have TTH pedigree and many podiums to their names going to the front as they reel in Tony. I'm certain Tony will be able to get back in here, and I still want to make certain that I am close enough to the front, and I do not want to be scraped off here. Nice thing that Rick let me in, and here comes the rest of the crowd here. Mr. Highland of OCR fame, we got Danny there, and we got Carrie looking good, fresh off of the training camp, not only in Spain, but with the Pro Velo crew. And now things are hotting up a little bit. We are strung out, and I have managed to get myself a nice slot in like 6th position or so, which is good. A good amount of draft. I'm pretty comfortable. Even though the wattage is still pretty high, it is not a walk in the park yet. Because when the supers are up front, it's always a little bit spicy, as they would say. Drifting back a little bit, like Danny slots in front of me, and I'm thinking to myself, uh-oh, this could be trouble. Danny's a strong rider, and sometimes he lets this little gap open up, and then he closes this gap really quickly. And he does those enough times where I'm like, but that's okay. We'll see what happens. And if we have to go around, we'll have to go around. Maybe I should have just used a little more effort to stay on Steve Highland's wheel. But I was thinking to myself, well, I'll just close that slowly. But maybe I shouldn't have done that. But in any case, I digress and I ramble on. Looking up front there, it looks like they're strong men. Looking in the upper right, we see Mr. Kennedy's cam. Looks like he's slotting in at 3rd and putting in a decent amount of wattage. Actually, even less wattage than I'm putting in, so I don't get that. Either my power meter needs to be recalibrated or I was not getting the best draft out there. In any case, it is quite interesting looking at our current power numbers. Carrie looking strong there in the Pro Velo kit. I like the new colors. It's really cool. It's different. Much, much different than the green of the First City cycling team. Got Brian there in the Rio kit, and it looks like Anna from the various numbers of groups, because I think she does them all. TFR, OCR, Sunrise, Fort Collins, like everybody. And she is in contention there, looking strong with her nice high cadence and her new visor. I believe maybe a little smaller than the last visor, but a visor nevertheless keeps things comfortable. Everybody working hard here. My 30-second power over 224, which is above my FTP these days. My heart rate 175, so we are like close to the rivet. Not on the rivet, but close to the rivet, and I reel Danny back in slowly here. I don't have a lot of matches, and I don't like making quick accelerations and having to either hit the brakes. It's nice to accelerate and then coast into your target. And that's the way I like to do it. I like to save my matches. Everyone's strung out here. People working hard. The supers are up front, keeping things honest. I can see Wolfgang up there, and he's got a little bit of a fitment issue with his kit, it looks like. Or at least it shows that the aerodynamics of the area right behind the helmet, lots of flapping on that kit. And maybe the camera will show that later on. Looking up front, upper right, it looks like Mr. Kennedy, second wheel, and it's Mr. Mellinger, just a ramming and a thumping up there. Good contact there. The speed is good. And you can see that Ron has a pretty good amount of draft there with his wattage, in the 170s. Not too high for him, just keeping him honest. And his heart rate only 149. And here is a selection point. This little grade. It is deceptive on the video, but a 1 or 2% grade here, and it forces everybody to dig down deep. And you saw my little bit of horsepower there, a little bit above 400 for a second or two. I definitely wanted to maintain contact here. Looks like Daniel going to the front, taking over for Ron, and things are good. Ron 30-second power over 300. Mine was only 260 something, so it looks like the aerodynamic efficiencies of where you are in the group are playing a big part here. Everyone looking strong, and there goes Ben, and I'm thinking I should go with him, and I'm kind of surprised that Danny did not go to the front. But perhaps a little bit of a lag there before making that choice, and it allows those that were tail gunning to bring themselves up into the field. And this is the one thing I hate, like when I'm racing, to get like swarmed. You're like, oh, and there's a violation of the yellow line rule by Mr. Mellinger. A red card there going around. And of course, I would have liked to go around here too, but I couldn't. I can't violate my own rules here, and everything hots up. And let's see if we can bring these people back. And you can see by Ron's camera, everybody's working hard. Danny finally working hard, trying to reel these people in. Ron looking strong. Everybody looking strong. Curtis in front of me looking strong. Anna looking strong. Wolfgang looking strong. Ron looking strong. As we just about make contact with those recalcitrants. It looks like a strong attack, but not strong enough. And it looks like Mr. Highland was third there. Big move by these people. And as you can see, and in the testament to the strength of everybody, this was brought back. Tony looking strong out there, sitting in the wind a little bit. Hopefully he's okay, but his cadence is high, so I assume he is not in any kind of muscular fatigue. I'm tail gunning here and hoping to maintain contact. Heart rate 172, current power 400, and another selection point as people are about to see if everyone can maintain the selected group. Yeah, it looks good here. And it looks like there were two off the front. I believe that might be Todd and Big Ben. And everyone wants to try to bring this back. Ron looks like, and it looks like Mr. Highland up there working hard. And will they be able to bring these guys back? Oh, and there's the elbow, and it's Ron's turn to take to the front. And you can see we're just almost there. I think we're almost going to be able to bring them back, but there's a lot of horsepower up front. A lot of horsepower. And there's some people that might be in the way up here that are not willing to go forward and to help Ron out. Or they're going to be opportunistic and help themselves out at this point. Waiting, and we're almost there. Ron working hard here. I mean, matches being burned. 30-second power for Ron, 240. And now here we go. There goes Curtis, and it's my turn to try to make it around some people. Wolfgang slots in here and takes that position away from me, but I am happy to be behind Wolfgang. Curtis looking strong there, and Wolfgang, and you could see for a second there the flapping of the jersey. Watts there's probably 10 watts being burned off there. Yep, and there it is. Look at that. It's noticeable here. Yep, that's not camera artifact. That is his jersey. And looks like Big Ben has been caught as he tried to launch Mr. Mellinger into orbit here. And that is nice teamwork by the TTH gentlemen. But perhaps underestimating the power of the peloton. And Wolfgang has committed himself to bringing this back. And there are strong men, heads of state here. Also, Mr. Hyden, look at that. Yes, and the catch is made. It looks like perhaps even if you do have a cape, the masses could be too much for you. And perhaps we have gentlemen here that are ready to go and join the TTH. Nice move by Steve off the front. Steve, Ben, Tony, looking strong here. I try to maintain contact here. My 30-second power, 295, 290, 300 watts as I try to maintain contact here and hold off Danny for the summit here for an almost podium. There goes Curtis, looking strong. I'm not certain if Curtis saw the front end of the stick today, and that allows him some freshness, a chance to get himself a nice 4th place. But I am happy with my performance on this one. Happy with how the group performed for the most part. There were some good attacks in there. This is the way it should be done. Unlike in the previous 2 weeks ago, where there was nothing but lethargy. And I think this is maybe what inspired Ben to come out. And maybe he was late for the TTH. Or his back was hurting because Karen made him move the trampoline. And he didn't feel like pushing it too hard. Whatever the excuse is, we are happy to see him in the mix today. And a good time was had by all. Nice little push by Anna coming through at the end, looking strong, looking very strong. It'll be good when Elisa and Ilka and Isla and Christina are here, for the women's battle. Be nice to see that. Have to get a camera on one of those young ladies and add a little something extra to this podcast. Enough of my rambling. A good time was had by all. Until next time, peace out, everyone.